believed that serving others was serving God, and he did so with a joyful and willing heart, expecting nothing in return but the peace that comes from a life lived in faith. One sunny afternoon, an invitation arrived for Robert. It was for a lively party full of music and dancing planned for Saturday night. Many townsfolk were excited about it. The invitation promised a grand time, a chance to forget worries and indulge in earthly pleasures. It was the kind of gathering that could easily draw anyone in, a celebration that seemed to offer escape and momentary joy. Robert read the invitation carefully. He considered the laughter and the noise, the late hours and the worldly focus. He knew it was not a bad thing in itself, but he felt a gentle nudge in his spirit. Robert politely declined the invitation. He explained to the eager host, "Thank you, that's very kind. But Saturday evenings are a special time for me. I dedicate them to quiet reflection and prayer, preparing my heart for Sunday worship." He didn't preach or condemn, he simply stated his quiet conviction. Some might have found his reason old-fashioned or perhaps a little strange, but Robert's peace was not found in fleeting parties. His joy was rooted deeper in the quiet sanctuary of his relationship with God, a place of profound and lasting contentment. Lena, a young woman in Harmony Hill, observed Robert's gentle refusal. She had often seen him around town. She noticed the calm that always seemed to surround him. She saw how he treated everyone with kindness, how his eyes held a certain light. Lena was searching for something more in her own life. She saw others chasing fleeting happiness, but Robert seemed to possess a different kind of joy, one that didn't fade with circumstances. His decision about the party made her think. It wasn't about judgment, but about priorities, about a life lived with intentional devotion. Lena began to admire Robert's unwavering faith more and more. It wasn't loud or boastful, it was a quiet strength, a steady anchor in a world that often felt chaotic. She saw that his faith wasn't just for Sundays, it was woven into the fabric of his everyday life. It guided his choices, his words, his actions. She thought about his peaceful demeanor, the genuine care he showed. Lena started to wonder if the peace she longed for could also be found in such a steadfast trust in God, a trust that Robert embodied so beautifully and consistently. One late afternoon, the sky over Harmony Hill began to change. Dark, ominous clouds rolled in quickly. The wind picked up, howling like a mournful beast. What started as a gentle rain soon turned into a torrential downpour. Thunder boomed, shaking the very foundations of the houses. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the frightened faces of the townsfolk. Fear began to creep into hearts. The storm was sudden and fierce, a powerful reminder of nature's might and human vulnerability. Windows rattled and trees swayed precariously under the onslaught. Robert watched the storm from his window. He saw the fear in his neighbors' eyes as they hurried for shelter. He felt the anxiety in the air. But in his heart there was also a deep sense of God's presence. He knew that even in the midst of the storm, God was sovereign. He felt a strong prompting, a clear call from within. It was time to gather, time to turn to the one who could calm any storm, both literal and metaphorical. He knew that prayer was their most powerful shield against the tempest of fear that was sweeping through their beloved town. Without hesitation, Robert put on his coat and headed towards the little church. The wind and rain lashed at him, but his resolve was firm. He found Pastor Elijah already there, anxiously watching the storm. "Pastor," Robert said, his voice calm but firm, "we need to call the people to prayer. We need to seek God's comfort and protection together." Pastor Elijah looked at Robert, saw the unwavering faith in his eyes, and nodded. He knew Robert was right. Together they began to ring the old church bell, its sound cutting through the roar of the storm, a hopeful call to unity and faith. Marcus heard the church bell. He was at home, feeling the fear grip him. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil he often felt inside. He had seen Robert heading towards the church, a solitary figure braving the elements. He remembered Robert's gentle words, his constant faith. Suddenly, a deep longing for peace, for redemption, welled up within him. He wanted to be part of something bigger than his own struggles. He decided, then and there, he would go to the church. He would join Robert. He would seek the solace that prayer might offer, hoping to find a new beginning. Slowly, one by one, the people of Harmony Hill made their way to the church. They were wet, a little scared, but they came. They huddled together in the pews, families and neighbors, seeking comfort in each other's presence and in the sanctuary of God's house. Pastor Elijah, with Robert by his side, led them in prayer. They prayed for safety, for courage, for peace. They prayed for their homes and for each other. The sound of their combined voices, soft at first, then growing stronger, filled the little church, a testament to their shared hope and dependence on a higher power. As they prayed, a sense of calm began to settle over the congregation. It was as if their collective faith was a warm blanket, shielding them from the storm's fury. Outside, the wind still howled, but inside the church there was a growing peace. And then, almost imperceptibly at first, the raging storm began to lose its intensity. The thunder grew more distant, the rain softened to a gentler rhythm. It was as if their heartfelt prayers were being heard, as if God was extending his gentle hand to soothe the tempest, bringing reassurance to his children. When the storm finally passed, a hush fell over Harmony Hill. The sun, though not yet visible, hinted at its return behind the clearing clouds. The people emerged from the church, not with boasts of their own strength, but with a renewed sense of faith and unity. They had faced the storm together, and together they had found solace in prayer. Their trust in God had been tested, and it had deepened. They looked at each other with new appreciation, their hearts filled with gratitude and a quiet, shared understanding of the power of communal faith and divine protection. The next morning the sun rose brilliantly over a washed-clean Harmony Hill. The air was fresh, and birds sang their cheerful melodies. Robert was at his window as always. His Bible was open, his heart full. The storm had passed, but his faith remained steadfast and true. He whispered his morning prayers, thanking God for his protection, for his mercy, and for the renewed hope that dawned with the new day. Robert knew that life would bring more storms, but he also knew that God's love and faithfulness would always be their ultimate refuge, their unwavering anchor.